We're going to have a great audience today too, because there's so much interest.
I think so.
Literally 100 doctors on the True Leave call, and about 70 or 80 last night on our group. So
because everybody's like discombobulated by it.
Everybody is discombobulated. Well, I said the good, the bad, and the still unknown. Which is really what it is.
It still is for a while, for a couple of weeks, and then the dust will settle for sure.
Right.
Okay.
My phone's being slow. I got a new phone, so we're good.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Green Room, and happy September 1st. We're in another month. And we see Dr. Berry here. Yeah, it's September 1st. Can you believe it? Dr. Berry is vacationing up in the mountains of Georgia. So
it's gorgeous. I'll give you a little vista.
Yeah, give us
so it's really September. Yeah, it's really September 1st. I can't believe that, Ruta. You know, when you're on vacation, of course, time flies. It's gorgeous up here. I'm in the mountains of northern Georgia, Blue Ridge, Georgia, actually. And rental home, the Patty got together. And of course, on Friday, when we left the state, it's almost like they know this.
They know Barry's leaving. Let's bring out some new rules to the OMMU, to the Medical Registry of Marijuana. So for those tuning in, today's show, we actually got slapped upside the head by the office.
No, when we signed off last Thursday, Ruta, I was going on vacation. You were gonna do a green room this week with a guest, we had no plans that I would be sitting here remotely having to answer to the malfeasance. And I want to start off, listen. Go ahead, Ruta. I didn't mean to get in the way, but the state dropped the long-awaited dose cap. Okay, rules making, and listen, we've known that this was coming.
Email on Friday around 3 p.m. in the afternoon for something that was going to change how the entire practice operates and how patients get dosing. And it was going to become effective Monday morning at 8 a.m. Medicine, which is so critical. It is medicine that now is going to change for patients. And we got this notice on a Friday afternoon to become effective early Monday morning at 8 a.m. And so honestly, it's disgusting what the state does to the physicians and their patients. This is really uncalled for. I mean, to give.
No, I want to speak directly to it, Ruta, because there's 740,000 patients. This is medicine. Okay. There are hundreds, if not, a couple thousand doctors out there attempting to do this with honesty, with integrity, following the rules. Okay. And to drop a complete change to a system on a Friday afternoon at 2:30 in the afternoon, we personally did not even get it into our office, okay, because of an email glitch at the state, right? But each patient and the doctors got it at the same time.
Which is absurd too, which is nonsense. It's utter nonsense.
It's medicine. It's medicine. Yeah. And
that's like saying to a patient, I'm sorry, you don't get your Coumadin, or we changed the levels of Coumadin we're going to give you, or Losartan, or something else you really need. It's insane.
So my point is, the malfeasance of the state has only been matched by the diligence of my staff, quite frankly, and the staffs
and all the doctors' offices that
and the staffs and all the other doctor offices and the doctors and us doctors who have met twice this week, and we'll talk about those meetings, okay? And quite frankly, the MMTC staffs as well. Everybody
they shook an entire industry. I mean, and without cause and without like rolling it out over time and giving offices time to adjust forms and adjust to their patients and to adjust everything. I mean, just to drop this like the way they did under an emergency order. What emergency?
Well, let's go that way. So the DOH has always had emergency order over the cannabis program because the legislature has continued to allow it. And, that's how this dropped. Now, we knew it was coming because they tried to do it back in February, and it got rolled, back at that time. Why now is interesting, and there's a lot of questions about that. But my point is this. It's complete disarray for a couple days in a medical program that did result in some patients not being able to obtain their medicine. Okay. And if anybody would ever have to go back to the legacy market, okay, and run into unsafe product, law enforcement impact, okay.
For those who don't know what the legacy market is, because I'm sure, because I hadn't heard that until you started using it, it's literally the black market, going back to the street to purchase marijuana.
Yeah, just trying to be a little bit woke, I guess, or politically correct to that extent. But well,
we're not in a woke state.
I got it. So let's talk about the practicalities of how this came down. And listen, I'm going to have the unique opportunity, and I will, on Thursday, to be in Tallahassee to address in front of the press at a press conference that's being called by the Department of Agriculture, to address this, and speak for my patients and speak for the doctors of the state. And my point will be this, and then we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the program and the changes, the good, bad, and the unanticipated. I never want to see this happen again by process. What's the matter with these people? Who manages any type of program this way? Only those that either don't care, quite frankly, or have a willful purpose, okay, towards failure, okay, of the program. Now, listen, we have this program for this program for 5 years now. We've helped thousands and thousands of patients, right? And to think that this was still done under an emergency order when there, in fact, has been no emergency. And hear me now, OMMU, and hear me now, state, and hear me now, every legislator up there, okay? There has not been a safety issue with this program, period. Okay, look at the data, look at the research, okay? And as far as any other issues of diversion, okay, or whatever else may be, going on in the system, there was not an emergency until what happened on Friday brought on the emergency to the patients and the doctors, quite frankly. We'll work through it, okay, because of the passion that we have and, quite frankly, the needs of our patients, okay? Absolutely. But here's my goal, and I'll be speaking to it in the news conference on Thursday. What we need is a panel, okay, an advisory panel set up by the OMMU. What's so darn hard if they cared, okay? Boots on the ground doctors, research, boots on the ground doctors, research doctors, okay? Patients, of course, MMTC representatives, and a clinic biz owner. Okay, I think all have stake, okay, in what goes on here in Florida. There should be a panel established that meets quarterly, okay, and holds workshops, okay, before these type of changes occur. Absolutely. My anger of last week, I will turn to passion next week, okay, when I'm in Tallahassee, to see if I can start to hammer. Believe me, I'd love to sit down with Director Ferguson, okay, of the OMMU. I'll shout out right now, okay, please. I'm going to see if, Ruta, I need to see if he can set it up today. Dr. Barry's going to be in Tallahassee next week, sir. Can he sit down and come into the office?
But do you
I'm on vacation,
you are on vacation. But the only thing is, don't you think it's not even the director of the OMMU? This is coming from a higher person.
It does go higher,
it's going higher.
We can reach for the surgeon.
This is not from just one director.
I would love to meet the Surgeon General. Maybe I should shoot for that.
I think you should shoot for the Surgeon General. I think that's where the directive is coming from. And if they're wanting, what's interesting, you don't know. Every state,
Ruta, I think it's a darn good idea. If I'm going to go to Tallahassee, let me see if we could shoot for that.
I would shoot for that, because you have to go in the ear of somebody who's high up, who is making these directives, and it's got to be coming from the Surgeon General or the whole Department of Health. I don't think they, as a group, probably came up with this. I'm sure it was a directive of a couple of people at the very high end.
Oh yeah,
including our governor, who is the governor is very anti-cannabis.
Well, he's right. We know that, and listen, there's a hand up like. So here's the point. What changed? What happened? And listen, I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Jeff Block, who's really involved at the FMA level, political level, and really give a great wrap up There were two big doctor meetings this week, everybody. Truly have held one on Tuesday night, over 100 attendees. They capped at 100, so some people couldn't even get in. It was crazy. And then we had our Doctor Wednesday night group led by Charles Felix and Eric Stevens and some of us other doctor leaders. Had over 70 people on last night. Here's the incredible thing. So what really changed, okay, for the vast majority of the patients in the system, and this is the good. Remember I said the good, the bad, and the still unknown?
Yeah.
So the good is, Ruta, and I want you to speak to this because you've been in the office for the 3 days this week and I haven't, but this is what we know by statistics. For the vast majority of the patients in the program, this will not have any significant change for them because they were all operating under their order set, right? That already was established. So speak to that for a second, Ruta, because I know that's what's been going on in the office.
It has. So what happened on the caps is the registry now came up with guidelines for us to cap off no more than 24,500 milligrams in a 70-day period of orders. And that's combined
of THC.
Of THC combined, whether it's edible, whether it's tinctures or oils, suppositories, any form outside of smoking. Smoking has been left alone because they have already dealt with smoking prior to that.
It became the seventh route of administration, actually, Ruta, is how it's worded. And the reason that it's not included in the 24,500 is that they're actually measuring that by ounces and grams.
And grams.
And not by THC amount. So
yeah,
that's how
the weight is totally different. Where like for low THC, like, so you're talking for low THC, they really, you know, that we can prescribe as much as you want. It's not going to really affect the bottom line. However, with our patients, generally we, in our office, our practice was to give sort of not blanket, but kind of blanket orders so that the patient had choice over what kind of products they wanted to get when they first initially come into the program. Because of what's happened in these caps, now we're actually having to sort of change and morph our practice standards. So for new patients, we actually came up with a lower amounts, but straight across the board, so they still have access to try different products. And that's really what our clinic is about is, you know, a patient comes in, they've never tried cannabis, and those are a lot of our new patients. We want to give them choice to see what works best for them. And with the state, we didn't want this prohibitive action. So what we did is we lowered the amounts of dosing. And then for our patients that are existing patients, now what's happening is we're actually having to sort of go and ask them really what are they taking, and then actually start writing the orders according to what they've been using. The only issue that we've sort of come up with right now is patients kind of don't tell the truth, and I'm not sure why. So what happens is when we ask the patient, you know, what are you using? And some will say, well, I'm just using flower. And some may say, well, I just want a vape, and I'm just using the inhalation. But then now what's happening is our staff actually has to go in and do a secondary step. And that secondary step is to go in and see what they've purchased in the past. And then all of a sudden we come back to the patient, and we had a great example yesterday. The patient's like, I just vape. I don't care about anything else. Well, all of a sudden then we went in and we go back and we take a look, and they like edibles. They just purchased a bunch of them. So now we're like, we have to kind of backtrack and say to the patient, are you sure this is all you want is vaping, and you're not going to want this edible? Oh no, I want edibles too. But they didn't know enough to say that. So that's the only thing where we're going to have to do a little bit of more digging. There's also this exemption form. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, hang on. I want to. We will get to it.
Yeah, we need to talk about the exemption.
It is. But I want to go back for a second. So on the doctor side, my philosophy has always been, especially for our new patients, that they should have the availability of every single route, because we teach what we call a safe, which is brew philosophy, right? Of using cannabis with patch, with tincture, with vape, with all the routes to find that best sweet spot for each patient, right? And I know we can continue to do that with our new patients who are coming in, because the order, and this is the good, and I want to bring out the good. So the numbers as they are, okay, aren't horrible. I don't like them. I don't like any restriction on my practice. I want to be clear about that. Anybody getting in between myself, my education, my practice, and my patient, it's wrong. Okay. And listen, there may be a challenge at the state level that also has come out in the doctor meetings. Somebody may get together with an attorney and challenge the rule. It's not going to be easy in any way, shape, or form, nor cheap. So my belief,
I think although like even though there's a cost involved, I think for a principle it has to be a stand from the physicians because they are interfering between doctor and patient relationships and they're actually looking at what the physicians are doing and saying, well, you know better. Well, who's the we is what I'd like to know is who's determining this.
Well, that's why there needs to be that panel, of thought leaders, discussion leaders, research, right, for sure. So, but the point is, listen, I mean, it's going to be fought at whatever level it's going to be fought. But quite frankly, once again, the good is for the vast majority of our patients. Okay, the numbers are going to work. Now we're going to have to template it. I give a big shout out
to Dr. Beasley for helping us.
I give a big shout out to friend and partner, Dr. Beasley, who has worked through some templates. Listen, I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Bart Hirschfield, getting back into the doctor meeting. So the doctors are putting together some language, for the RFE, the request for exemption. That's what it is. So they're calling it the FRE. How smart they are up there at the OMMU.
They're so great.
but we'll get back to it. That language also may include, and whether or not we choose to use it, a language of attestation from the patient that they're giving us the proper information about their past medical history. And we'll get back to that when we talk about the making out of the RFE form, what the doctor's required to attest to, the discussion of medical records and other such things, because it's going to become very critical. But I want to stay on the good, but I want to stay on the good for a second. From the good side, once again, even though I'm real pissed off at them getting in the way and putting any restrictions on numbers, this, that, whatever, and I think what it is going to force will be each clinic, quite frankly, to establish a little bit closer relationship with their patients, right? And I think that's only for the good. Those clinics are able to do that because they're interested enough to do that and staffed well enough to do that. I think we'll thrive, quite frankly. I think those clinics
our office,
shoddy and shabby and fly by night, for sure,
those will
going to have to staff up, quite frankly, or it's going to be a complete disaster. And let me, as we wrap up this section, the interesting thing is how quickly the doctors have adapted. So on the Tuesday meeting, the questions were unbelievable. People couldn't even put orders in and no one knew why. But here's the answer, everybody. And it's an important answer. When your doctor puts in the orders, and this is for everything but flower, and we'll get to flower in a second. When they put and Ruta, please correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, because you've been on that side. Let me get my thumb out from in front of the camera. So when they put the orders in, there's individual dose cap routes, 60 milligrams, 60. And matter of fact, Ruta, do you have it in front of you?
Actually, it's on my desk. I took a different.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like 60 milligrams.
Like 60, as long as it goes to like 350 milligrams.
It's still 350. It's still 350 for inhalation. And we were at 400. So if you're strictly an inhalation person, but like I said, I think in general, it's going to affect very few people. But the point is, it is going to force, right, more discussion and good discussion, right, so that we can categorize and specialize everybody's orders. Now, the request for more comes into the bad as far as I'm concerned. So that's the percentage of patients that will desire more. And Don, what's our? I don't see my time. I don't want to get into too long.
10 minutes.
Awesome. Because this is the key. You have to look at, and what everybody didn't get, what the patients haven't seen, what the patients haven't read, is the acknowledgement portion, of the RFE.
Well, they won't see it. That's the thing.
I know they won't, but they need to know what it says.
Oh, absolutely. So we're going to make that clear to our patients, and we have.
Right. So here's the point. So in my clinic, and I'm proud to say that this has always been our attitude. We are here for safe, legal, educated access, okay, to cannabis here in the state of Florida for those that desire to use it for the medical purposes that it's designed to be used for here in Florida. That's why I want to go back to Jeff Block for a second. Look at the one part of the order, Ruta. The only thing that went up, okay, on the order set was oral under capsules.
Mm-hmm.
And actually it went up 300 some percent. Jeff knows why that is, and he spoke to it in the doctor meeting. Okay.
Why Big Pharma wants to come in?
No, it's because it makes sense. It makes sense to those that don't know about cannabis, because pills to them, that's medicine.
Medicine, yeah,
that's medicine.
Is it a Big Pharma move? Like I'm
not whole flower, surely not to smoke it. Okay, they don't really understand the patches and the ratio concept of THC, CBD, or any of that. Okay, but pills to them make sense. And,
well,
and I got to give them a big.
You can see, and honestly, I'm glad you said that, because you can tell the DOH who probably made this ruling, their panel, that is the marijuana panel, doesn't have one physician that practices anything to do with medical marijuana. So for them, they're traditional physicians. So for them, you're right. They want that dose amount with a pill exact. Like for them, that's exact, and that's what
it was incredible. It was incredibly enlightening. Okay, when I had this conversation with Jeff Block yesterday morning, and then when he discussed it with the physician group last night, it was very helpful. He brought out the whole draft that came out in February and compared it to what we actually got. Okay. Also, what's been slipped in everybody is now a rolling system for all routes.
Where it was now for flower, and now it's for everything.
Now it's for all routes, and that has resulted, without warning, without notice to patients, of patients going into the MMTCs on Monday and Tuesday, and I'm sure Wednesday, and not being able to achieve product. They'll call their doctor's office, and many of the doctor's offices haven't yet caught up to what's going on. And so there's disarray. And once again, hopefully nobody will end up going back to the legacy black market, okay, for unsafe product. Let's get to the attestation form first. Excuse me, the RFE, because we're going to run out of time. So the RFE is bad guys for doctors, in my humble opinion.
It is.
It's Mother May I.
It's very threatening. It's extremely threatening.
You got to put a cherry on top. They discuss the having to hand over medical records, okay, which may be a HIPAA violation. We're not sure if that's just our records or if those are records that are sent to us from other doctors, right? So
it's back up. They can request, there's the way that the language is right now. One, according to the standardization of practices for the state of Florida for medical marijuana, should they request it, it's all medical records in regards to that patient to prove the diagnosis that we're asking for the exception. Then on top of that, should they want to pull our practice medical records as a whole, they can do so. So that's what that attestation is basically stating. And honestly, for that, there's also comes with that a threat that should you not comply, or you do this exemption form, you're aware that you may be breaching the law, and that your medical license may be
subject to board action, right?
Yeah, which is
so it's a misdemeanor one, but much more importantly, okay, it's subject to board action. And here's my thoughts on it, everybody. And I've been clear with it in various forums so far. I think every doctor needs to be very cautious at this point as they put out the RFE request for exemption. I think especially with flower products. Proudly, we have many patients in the program who utilize cannabis for medical purposes that may not be recognized, quite frankly, by prohibitionists, by politicians. I'm proud to educate and keep those patients safe in a very unsafe environment now, okay, with vapes that have killed people from the black market, with now fentanyl, God forbid, creeping in,
well, that's what's interesting.
to cannabis supply.
They're not regulating the hemp industry, which
No,
is
well,
crazy.
listen, that's an entire
That's a whole other conversation, but it's ridiculous because you can go get, something with a Delta 8 or, like something on the black market, not on the black market. You can get it at the drugstore. You can get it at CVS. You can get it anywhere. It's unregulated.
It is. It's terrible. And the danger is people falling into unsafe products. And that's why this does need to be challenged, because each and every patient, okay, that agrees to register with the state, become legal in their use, pay some money to a clinic, right? Pay MMTC prices, right? I mean, every issue. Okay. The state shouldn't be getting in the way of that. Once again, unless they can show safety concerns, which I know they can't, and or other concerns, which really haven't been brought out. But in my thinking, okay, those patients that are receiving the 2.5 ounces of flour every 35 days on the rolling basis, which has been a pain in the butt. I got it. Okay. I think should take a deep breath and accept the fact that that's what Florida at this point, quite frankly, is recognizing as an amount that's sufficient. I think to go into your doctor right now and say, hey, listen, you can give me more flour. I want more flour. If I don't get more flour, I may leave your practice. I think doctors may have to make a hard decision at that point, whether they're going to risk their entire practice and all of their patients, for reasons that may not be as medical, quite frankly, as what the state may recognize. We don't know who's evaluating these forms. We've been told they're going to be rubber stamped and this and that. Listen, it could be a high school student that's evaluating the forms for all I know. We know it's not a doctor. Exactly. We know it's not a nurse.
I want to know, is it going to be a medical doctor who's going to check every single form? You would have to think
no way. Not a chance.
No way.
Listen, no way. Listen, Dr. Beasley and a couple other docs around the state have already put in RFEs. They've been approved. Okay.
Oh, so they did it quickly, because that's the only other thing that I didn't like on the RFE was
they have 14 days.
14 days to answer you. So if you're talking somebody that's very sick and they like a cancer patient and they will need an exemption, to have them possibly wait 14 days for a response is very
actually Ruta, they get the amount that the state allows.
Yeah, they do. They get that. Pending, they do. That stays.
What stays pending. Yeah. But there's rumor, for example, and it's on my page, and I had to tamp down the rumor that your doctor will be able to get you 10 ounces of flour, okay, in a 35.
What? Oh, we haven't heard that one. We haven't heard that.
Oh no, apparently that came from a OMMU source and listen, it's a moderator of one of the largest Facebook, pages, that there is. And I respect him. But I said, listen, that's not good enough for me, bud. And I've never seen it, read it, this, that, whatever, but apparently it's buried somewhere. I don't know, is what he says. And he actually, said there's an OMMU guy that told him this, put his number and his name on my page. And I said, hey, listen, I hope the guy doesn't blame me if he gets 100 calls a day. So no, but you can't count really on the OMMU right now, quite frankly, to be delivering the information. And
also, I had a call. I called myself on Monday morning.
Oh, I know you did.
And it was interesting because for those listening, we got, these emails in from the state requiring, the level changes and dosing. But what they did is they gave examples and they said, this is the cheat sheet for your office. Well, if you went by their cheat sheet,
right,
you couldn't put in those orders because they were all over the amounts. So we were like, excuse me, why would you send out a sheet of parameters for us that are not even true parameters? They didn't give us what the exact amount. They said, well, this is an example. I'm like, well, why would you send that out when it already bounces us out of the system right away? Should we enter in orders the way you put them? They said, oh, you guys all have to go back and calculate yourselves. We're like, oh, isn't that great? Right. They really, truly, I don't know any entity that can operate like this as a business.
Malfeasance or willful. It's just I don't know. And listen, I've been giving the OMMU props to a certain extent because of the logistics of their system have improved and patients do get approved same day. And I mean, so a lot of the things have changed. But the point is there's been an absolute disregard, okay, for medicine, okay? Patients' medicine. And quite frankly, for those of us doctors out there that are really trying to do it right, follow the rules, we all know that there's been massive non-following of the rules
And I
via
think that's
telehealth
why
and
this,
stuff like that.
I
No,
really
that's what
think
this what
this is
angers
what
me
it,
so much about
it
this, Ruta,
is.
is
Yeah.
right. I mean, how can you know what they're going to focus on and what they're not going to focus on? And that's the still yet to be seen. And that's the good, the bad, and the still yet to be seen. We're just going to be smart right now, everybody. We've got too much going on to the positive for our patients right now to let this bump in the road and another hand up by whoever the prohibitionists are up there to get in the way of our continued passionate, education and growth of what we know can be fantastic medicine and a substance of safety for patients in Florida. It's so ironic as we head into this discussion of legal adult use, Ruta. We have so many green rooms coming up with so much, with so topical as we head into election season. How did we not even talk politics today? This could be the first green room ever.
One of the first time, and we actually are out of time. So we're actually out of time. So we're gonna have to come back next week and discuss again. But you're gonna be in Tallahassee next week, so maybe we can do a live when you're.
We will. We will. Well, I'll probably I will be in Tallahassee, and we will do live. Maybe even we can do a live one. That would be maybe from Commissioner Freed's office herself.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Right, or something, or maybe the Surgeon General's office. I'm still going to shoot for that.
Oh, I would.
And Ruta, if you do one thing for me today, shoot me that info, by email, and I will reach out to Dr. Ladapo himself and see if I can arrange for a little tete-a-tete.
Perfect.
Doubt it, but that'd be interesting.
No, it will be. So we have to wrap up. So beautiful view, like absolutely beautiful. So enjoy your last week.
And listen, last day. Driving home tomorrow. Listen at Ohio State, and listen, my football season kicks off on Saturday, Ohio State, Notre Dame. So go Bucks, and we will see everybody when I get back. And next week I will do the green room from Tallahassee for sure. We'll continue. Great. And listen, there'll be updates. There'll be new things that we know. That's the lunacy of all of this, is that it's still day to day. So hopefully no patient will be harmed. That's always the most important thing.
And to all our Ukrainians, still Slava Ukraini. On a personal note, my brother's in the hospital. I'm asking prayer warriors, give a little prayer for my brother, and see you guys all next week. Take care.